Okay, now let us start again. Okay, so I'm Sunita Fadkule, working as a professor in Mechanical Engineering Department at JSPM Jaivantrao Sound College of Engineering, Hadapsar, Pune. Okay, today is our video lecture number 14. The topic is single DOF force vibration complete solution. Okay, so there are two learning outcomes of today's lecture. The first learning outcome will be you will be able to explain particular integral of force vibration, and learning outcome 2 will be you will be able to estimate the complete solution for force damp vibration. Okay, so in earlier lecture what we have studied, the complementary solution, correct? There are two, as we got the equation of motion for force vibration. Okay, that was mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to FO sine omega t. This equation is a non-homogeneous second order differential equation, so it consists of two parts of the solution. First part is complementary function, which we have already covered. So complementary function xc is given by xc is equal to a2 into e raised to minus zeta omega n t into sine square root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n t plus phi 2. Okay, where a2 and phi 2 are the two constant. Okay, now today we are going to study particular solution xp in detail. And you know, this is actually the part of force vibration. The complementary function was not required further. You will come to know at the end of the lecture. But this is only in detail will be lasting in the force vibration. Okay. So how do we find out this particular solution? With the help of a vector method. Okay. By chance, vector method approach here is very simple. Otherwise, I know students, you always have a fear of vector method because that is somewhat difficult topic in mechanical engineering. Okay, but here vector method approach gives you a very clear picture. It's a very simple method here. Okay, so that's why there is an analytical method also, but we are going to find out the solution with the help of a vector approach. Okay, the very important part is that the particular solution is a steady state harmonic oscillations having a frequency equal to that of excitation frequency, and the displacement vector lags the force vector by some angle. Now whatever I have just now told to you, okay, I know you might have say understood hardly 50%, but again I will read it because this is only the solution. Okay, what method we have to carry out here? See, in 9th and 10th or 11th, you have studied geometry subject. In that geometry, what was the theorem was there? How did you study the theorem? That assume something, then put that value, go on working on that equation, and finally you will come to a certain conclusion. If that conclusion is valid, then whatever the assumptions you have made, that is a correct assumption. The same method we are going to follow here. Okay, we are going to assume certain solution. Okay, this is given by xp is equal to capital X sine omega t minus phi. This is the solution we have to assume. We are going to assume for particular integral. Okay. Now, what is this? So, regarding this solution only, the same solution here, it is written in the mathematical form, and I have written here in the wording. Okay. So, again, I will read. You try to understand each and every word of this wording. Okay. So, xp is equal to, that is particular solution is given by capital X into sine omega t minus phi. What is capital X? Amplitude of vibration of system, which is known as a steady state amplitude. Why it is called steady state? That you will come to know up at the end of the lecture. Okay. What is phi? Phi is the angle by which displacement vector lags the force vector. See, phi 2 is different. In complementary solution, we have used phi 2. That phi 2 is the phase angle, that is a constant, that is nothing to do with this phi. This is a particular solution where phi is the angle by which displacement vector lags the force vector. So there are two terms, displacement vector and force vector. Okay. What is omega t? It is the angle made by the force vector. Okay, angle made by force vector with the reference axis, that is with positive x-axis. Okay, and xp is the particular solution. Now I will read this again. Okay, in wording, listen. The particular solution is a steady state harmonic oscillations. Okay, that means what? This is nothing but the oscillation, displacement, nothing else. Okay, so but what is the speciality of this oscillation? It is steady state. Okay, that means its magnitude is constant. Understood? Steady state means its magnitude is constant. So let me admit, so many people are admitting late. Okay, so who has? Okay, so the particular solution is a steady state harmonic oscillations having a frequency equal to that of excitation. Means here frequency, we have studied three frequency. Omega d is the damp natural frequency, omega n is the natural frequency, and omega is the frequency of external excitation, that is a frequency of external force. Okay, so this particular solution that is having steady state harmonic oscillation is vibrating with a frequency omega, that is frequency of excitation, and the displacement vector lags the force vector by some angle, and that angle we are calling it as a phi. Okay, so see here, the particular solution is given by the displacement vector. This is your displacement vector x. Okay, which will have the frequency omega, and it is lagging the force vector by some angle phi. See, force vector is making the angle omega t, and xp will lag by phi angle. So what is the total angle of displacement vector? Omega t minus phi. Okay, diagram we'll see later on. So xp is equal to x sine omega t minus phi. This is our solution. We are assuming that particular solution is given by this equation. Okay, now what we have to do? We have to put this value into your equation of motion. What is your equation of motion for force vibration? Mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to F4 sine omega t. Okay, so if our assumption will be correct, then we will get some valid conclusion. Okay, now let us see. So now we want to put the values into this equation. Okay, mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to F4 sine omega t. So here for particular integral, equation will be mx double dot p plus cx dot p plus kxp is equal to F4 sine omega t. So xp is already we know, derive it, you will get xp dot, derive it twice, you will get xp double dot. Okay, so this is our xp, derive it. Okay, take derivative with respect to t. So xp dot is equal to omega into x cos omega t minus phi. Okay, derivation of sine is cos. Okay, and it is with respect to t, so coefficient of t is omega, so omega will be here. So it is omega x as it is into cos omega t minus phi. Okay, now I want to write down this cos in terms of sine. Why? I will tell you later on. Okay, so what is the relation between sine and cos? Sine is, if you add 90-degree angle to the cos, you will get sine term. Okay, so I have written here omega x into sine omega t minus phi as it is plus pi by 2. Understood? Okay, now differentiate this equation twice. Okay, so x double dot p is equal to, now differentiation of cos is sine, it is minus sine, so that's why minus term is there. Okay, so differentiation of cos omega t minus phi is sine omega t minus phi into omega. So this omega has come, it is written here, so it is minus omega square x into sine omega t minus phi. Now I want to write down this term like this, plus pi. Why? Again you will come to know later on. Okay, so I will write down the, now you know what is the relation between any angle. If it is, there are four quadrant, you know, four quadrant and first, second, third, fourth. So you know that all STC. Okay, that means all the sine and cos, all angles are positive in first quadrant. Okay, all S in second quadrant sine is positive, third quadrant cos is positive. Okay, so I want to take the third quadrant because your angle is plus pi. Okay, so this will be somewhere in the third quadrant. So that's why when I will write down sine omega t minus phi as sine omega t minus phi plus pi, it will be negative. So that's why negative negative will get cancelled. It will come, it will write down, it will be here positive sign. Okay. So x double dot p is equal to omega square x into sine omega t minus phi plus pi. Okay. Now we are going to put the value of xp, x dot p and x double dot p, okay, into this equation. Okay. So let us put here m into xp, x double dot p. What is x double dot p? Omega square x into sine omega t minus phi plus pi. So listen, see here, omega square x sine omega t minus phi plus pi. Okay. Second term plus c into xp dot. What is xp dot? See here, xp dot is omega x sine omega t minus phi plus pi by 2. So this we have written here, omega x sine omega t minus phi plus pi by 2. Okay. Plus third term is k into xp. So what is xp? X into sine omega t minus phi is equal to right hand side as it is. Okay. Now what we have to do? Take all these term, left hand side term on the right hand side, so that left hand side will be 0. Okay. So see here 0. Okay. So 0 is equal to what I get? Fo sine omega t. This is the first term minus, this is the second term I have written, kx. Okay. What is kx? What is kx? Spring force, if you remember. Okay. So kx sine omega t minus phi. It is plus on this side. When it goes on right hand side, it will become minus. So what is the second term? Minus kx sine omega t minus phi. Okay. Minus this is the term c omega x sine omega t minus phi plus pi by 2. So this is the third term. C omega x is the damping force. C omega x into sine omega t minus phi plus pi by 2. Okay. Again, it will become minus because it is going on other side. Then this term m omega square x, it is positive on left hand side. When it will go to right hand side, it will become negative. So it is minus m omega square x into sine omega t minus phi plus pi is equal to 0. Okay. Now let us analyze this equation. Very, very, very important equation for force vibration. Okay. See, there are 4 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 terms represent certain force. So it is nothing but summation of forces is equal to 0. What is our conclusion? Summation of forces is equal to 0. This is nothing but your D'Alembert's principle. Okay. So that means whatever the assumptions we have made here, that is xp is equal to capital X into sine omega t minus phi, it is correct. Okay. Now let us analyze this equation. So what is the first term? I told you all these 4 terms represent certain force. First term represent external force. Second term represents spring force. Third term represent damping force. And fourth term represent inertia force. Okay. Now see, there are, whenever it is a vector, you know that there are two important parameters. What is the magnitude of vector and what is the direction of vector? Okay. So here, what is the magnitude of this external excitation? Fo, coefficient of sine omega t. Okay. What is the magnitude of spring force? Kx, coefficient of sine term. What is the magnitude of damping force? C omega x, that is coefficient of sine. What is the magnitude of inertia force? M omega square x, that is the coefficient of sine term. Okay. And what does this minus term, minus sign represent? Minus sign represent, these are the forces acting in the opposite direction of the whatever we have taken. That means opposite, you can say displacement, or opposite to the this sine omega t. Okay, that is a force vector. Okay, so these are the summation of forces is equal to 0. That means external excitation force plus spring force plus damping force plus inertia force is equal to 0. And these 3 forces are acting in the negative direction because those are having minus sign. Okay. So this is nothing but the D'Alembert's principle. So you can tell me now, if I try to draw the vector diagram for these 4 forces, Shall I get the closed polygon or open polygon? Put in the chat box. For these four forces, if I draw the force polygon, what should I get? Closed polygon or open polygon? Somebody put in the chat box. What we'll get? Summation of forces is equal to 0. What will be the nature of force polygon? Correct. It is a closed polygon. So Ronald has given the answer that we must get a closed polygon. Otherwise, there is no meaning of this D'Alembert's principle. Okay. So these four forces, we have explained here that external excitation, that is Fo sine omega t, spring force Kx sine of omega t minus pi, then damping force C omega x, inertia force M omega square x. Okay. So now study this vector diagram. Okay. I have shown all four forces here, but directly you cannot draw the four forces. You have to take some reference axis. So in a Cartesian coordinate, x-axis is there, then y-axis is there. So this is the reference axis, this is the perpendicular axis. And the very important thing is that you cannot draw the force vector unless and until you draw the displacement vector. So that's why you will find here 5 vectors. This is the displacement vector denoted by capital X. This is the external excitation force, Fo. This is spring force, Kx. This is damping force, C omega x. This is inertia force, M omega square x. Okay. So from here I have started, see, this is the origin, O. From here I have started. Which are the four forces? This is external force, then spring force, then damping force, and inertia force. I came again at the same point. So this is a closed polygon. Okay. Now how to draw this polygon? Because from this polygon, you have to derive certain equation. Okay. So let us draw first the displacement vector, capital X. Okay. It is what is the magnitude of this displacement vector? XP. It is basically XP. See here. This is your XP. XP is equal to capital X sine omega t minus pi. This is a vector denoting particular integral. So for this vector, this is your magnitude, X, capital X. And this is the angle, omega t minus pi, made with the reference axis. Understood? So magnitude for displacement vector, magnitude is X, angle is omega t minus pi. Okay, so let us draw that one. Okay, so from here, I have drawn this capital X. Okay, at an angle omega t minus pi. But how can I directly take omega t minus pi? First, I must know where is omega t. I must know where is phi. And then only I can draw omega t minus phi, no? Okay. So, this first, let us draw the force vector first. Okay. Anything you can draw, X or, but first, always it is better to draw the force, external excitation force. What is the magnitude? Fo. What is the angle? Sine omega t. Because your force, external force is given by Fo sine omega t. Fo is the magnitude. It may be 5 Newton, 10 Newton, etc. And into sine omega t. Sine मध्ये जे काय असतं ना, that angle, that is always angle made with the reference axis. So omega t is the angle made by the force vector with the x-axis. Okay, see, I have shown here. So Fo sine omega t. I have drawn this vector first. The first step is first draw the vector Fo. Then draw vector of displacement, that is xp, which is having magnitude x. So this length denote the magnitude. And what is the angle? Omega t minus phi. So angle between Fo and x is phi. What is the meaning of this one? Displacement vector x is lagging the force vector by an angle phi. And see, this is only our assumptions. If you read here the statement again, now you will come to know the meaning. Okay, what is the meaning of this statement? See here, the particular solution is a steady state harmonic oscillation having a frequency equal to that of excitation, and the displacement vector lags the force vector by some angle, and that angle is phi. Understood? So displacement vector always lagging the force vector by an angle phi. Okay, so that has been shown here. So this is phi. Okay, so naturally this is omega t, this is phi. So what is the angle made by displacement vector with the reference axis? Omega t minus phi. So that's why our solution is xp is equal to x into sine omega t minus phi. Have you understood now this one? Our solution, we have assumed the solution xp is equal to x into sine omega t minus phi. Okay, so we have drawn these two vector. First is FO, external excitation, and then second is displacement vector. Okay, now consider the second force, this one. Okay, I have drawn this vector FO sine omega t. Now you have to draw remaining three vectors representing spring force, damping force, and inertia force. Now let us draw the vector for spring force. Okay, what is the magnitude of spring force? Let me take this annotated. What is the magnitude of this spring force? Kx. What is the angle? Omega t minus phi, but it is minus. Minus means what? See, omega t minus phi is angle, say, in this direction. So minus omega t minus phi is in towards left direction. Okay, understood? See here, in the force polygon, this is your positive direction of omega t minus phi. And this is the negative direction of omega t minus phi. So this is your kx spring force. Magnitude is kx. So you have to draw line AB parallel to OX, but in the opposite direction, because spring force is acting opposite to the displacement. If you understand, if you recall the free body diagram, okay, spring force is always opposite to the displacement. So this is the displacement direction. Spring force will be opposite to the displacement direction. Okay, so these two lines are parallel to each other. Understood? So this is the force vector FO. This is the spring vector Kx. Okay. Now the third vector, which represents damping force. This one. Okay. This is C omega x is the magnitude. And angle is omega t minus phi plus pi by 2. And negative. Already you know what is the direction of omega t minus phi. What is negative omega t minus phi? Add pi by 2 angle there. Just add pi by 2 angle. That means damping force is perpendicular to the spring force because plus pi by 2 is there. Okay. Now you understood why I have taken plus pi by 2. So here, this is your spring force and this is your damping force. So this is right angle triangle. It is a right angle. Okay. So this is the magnitude. This length represents magnitude of damping force, that is C omega x. How we have drawn it? Perpendicular to Kx. Understood? Okay. Because this is the direction minus omega t minus phi plus pi by 2. Understood now? Okay. Now the fourth force representing inertia force. Okay. See, what is the magnitude of inertia force? M omega square x. And what is the angle made by inertia force? Omega t minus phi plus pi. And it is negative. Means omega t minus phi, whatever the negative sign is there, you have to add plus pi angle. Okay. So let us go to the vector diagram. See here. Now I am at point C. Okay. So again, spring force, that is damping force, and inertia force are perpendicular. So here it is the perpendicular sign must be there. Okay. So inertia force has to be drawn perpendicular to the damping force having magnitude m omega square x, and direction is plus pi. See, this is your angle minus omega t minus phi. Okay, minus into bracket omega t minus phi plus pi means opposite direction. That means it is in the direction of displacement only, no? What is the angle? See, if this angle is omega t minus phi, this angle is minus omega t minus phi, this angle is minus omega t minus phi plus pi. So that will come in the same direction as displacement. It is one line only. It is collinear. Understood? So I came to the origin, that is O. Okay. So what we got? D'Alembert's principle here. Summation of all the forces is equal to 0. So external excitation force plus spring force plus damping force plus inertia force is equal to 0. Okay. Remember, these are the four forces. You have to write down this equation in the same sequence only. Okay, now let us analyze. Okay, what is the observation from this vector diagram? Okay, first observation, the external excitation FO sine omega t acting on the body is represented by the force vector FO, which is acting at an angle omega t with the reference axis. Okay, from the reference axis. See, this is omega t. So this I have drawn FO, okay, making angle omega t. Correct? Then what is the second observation? The displacement vector lags the force vector by an angle phi. Okay, which already we have seen in equation number 4. Therefore, this displacement vector makes an angle omega t minus phi from the reference axis. Look here. The angle made by the displacement vector with the reference axis is omega t minus phi. Understood? Because this is omega t, this is phi. So this will be omega t minus phi. This is the second observation. What is the third observation? About the spring force. The spring force acting on the body is represented by minus kx, this is magnitude, into sine omega t minus phi, this is direction, which means that a vector kx acting in the opposite direction to omega t minus phi, because minus sign is there. Thus, the spring force on the body acts in a direction opposite to that of the displacement. See here, displacement direction is towards right, okay, making angle omega t minus phi, and spring force direction is towards left, okay, making the same angle. That means these two lines you have to draw parallel to each other. Okay, now what is the fourth observation? It is regarding the damping force. The damping force and inertia force are represented in the vector diagram in the similar fashion. Okay, so already I have explained you, this damping force is perpendicular to spring force and inertia force is perpendicular to the damping force. Okay, so this completes your vector diagram. Okay, now see, you naturally may ask that the directions are different, no? This external excitation is acting in this direction, spring force in this direction, damping force in this direction, inertia force in this direction. But your vibrations, if you take suppose diesel engine, okay, diesel engine, it's a vertical cylinder and piston is vertical. In which direction the vibrations are taking place? Can you tell me? Put in the chat box, anybody. If it is a say vertical engine, say diesel engine, okay, maybe 6-cylinder engine suppose, in which direction vibrations are taking place? Put in the chat box, anybody. In which direction the vibrations are taking place? Is it not vertical direction? Yes, up, down. Bharat, very correct. Bharat has given the answer that the vibrations will be vertically up and down. Okay. Then how here there are no, every force is acting in some different direction. How it is related with the up and down vibration then? See this wording. The actual forces acting on the body are the components of the four forces along the perpendicular direction. Since the body is in the equilibrium under the four forces, these vectors must form a closed polygon. That means what? See, vibrations are taking place, suppose vertically up and down. So the component of FO is responsible for vibration. Vertical component. Component of spring force, which is vertically downward, upward, that is responsible for vibration. Component of damping force, vertically up and down, is responsible for vibration. Similarly, component of inertia force. So all the vertical components of these four forces will be giving the vibrations if the vibrations are taking place in the vertical direction. Understood? Like this, vibrations will be whatever the directions are there, those are possible only due to the component of the forces. Okay, and very important is that these vibration, these forces, whatever the relative position is there, that will never change. Never. See, the complete, this force polygon can be rotated as if you are enclosed this in one entity. Okay, we have made a one group of this figure, and it has been completely, say, tilting towards, suppose, right, say 90 degree, 45 degree, or this one means their complete position can be changed, but their relative position cannot change. Means what? Angle between FO and X will remain phi only. Angle between spring force and damping force will remain perpendicular only. Angle between damping force and inertia force will remain perpendicular only. Understood this concept? So relative positions of all these four vectors, force vectors, always remain the same in spite of the vibrations taking place in any direction. Okay, so this is the so here we have finished the your vector method to find out the particular integral. So what was your solution? Xp is equal to capital X sine omega t minus pi. This is your solution. Okay. Now this solution, see X, what is X? Till you don't know. I have also not explained. I have just used the word steady state amplitude. X is the steady state amplitude. What is phi? I have just explained. It is the angle between displacement vector and force vector. Okay. Displacement vector lags the force vector by phi. But I have to find out the values of capital X, that is displacement, that is steady state amplitude, and angle phi in my known terms. What is known to you? Omega is known to you because it is a frequency of external excitation. Omega n is known to you, omega n, that is a natural frequency of the system. Zeta is known to you because it is C upon Cc. M is known to you, K is known to you. Okay, so now I have to find out the values of X, capital X, and phi in terms of zeta, omega, omega n, etc. Okay, so now that is our next topic. Okay, means it is not completed still. A particular integral, we got the solution, but now we want to write down that solution by putting the values of X and phi in the known terms. Okay. That's why the title I have given here, determination of X and phi. Okay. So again, the same vector diagram I have drawn here, but I have drawn it only partially because I require only this much for further mathematical derivation. Can you imagine this one? I have shown only three vectors here. This is the force vector, FO, which is making angle omega t with the reference axis. Okay, which already we have shown in the upper diagram, okay, which we have studied earlier. Then this is your spring force minus inertia force. How this has come? Okay, I will explain you. So, and this is your damping force. So it is a right angle triangle. Okay, how this has come? For that purpose, let us study this diagram. Okay, this is a force vector diagram. Okay, so look here. This is FO, which already we have drawn in the next diagram. You know how to draw it. It is making angled omega t with the reference axis. Okay. Then from FO, we have drawn the spring force vector. Okay. See, this is acting towards left. And m omega square is also parallel to this one, but it is in the opposite direction. So, AB minus CO. What I will get? AP. Understood? So what I did, I have drawn a perpendicular from O on this AB. Understood? What we did, I have drawn a perpendicular from point O on the line AB, and that point is denoted by P. Okay, so now which is right angle triangle? OAP. I am going to consider only this triangle. Understood? And what is OP? It is parallel to this BC, C omega x. So this is representing C omega x, that is damping force. And how much is AP representing? AP representing AB minus CO. What is AB? Spring force Kx. What is CO? Inertia force M omega square x. So what is AP? Kx minus M omega square x. Have you understood this? Again, I will explain you. Okay. I am going to consider only the triangle OAP. So how P point has come here? I have drawn a perpendicular from point O on the line AB. Okay, that intersect at point P. So OP is parallel to BC naturally. Okay, because here it is right angle triangle, here it is a right angle triangle, and here also it is a right angle triangle. Okay, right angle. So OP is parallel to BC. So that means this represents damping force. This represent external excitation FO, red color, and AP represents AB minus CO. What is AB? Kx minus m omega square x. Understood? So that's why the vector length AP is given by kx minus m omega square x. And what is this angle? Angle OAP. This is opposite angle to AOX. Okay, as this angle is phi, that means displacement vector lags the force vector by an angle phi. So spring vector lead the force vector by an angle phi, you can say. So these are the opposite angle because these two lines are parallel to each other. So this angle is phi. Okay. Now, so the same diagram I have drawn here. Look here. This is the same diagram. Okay. OAP. So this angle is phi. Okay. So this is external force vector. This is spring force minus inertia force. That is kx minus m omega square x. And this is damping force c omega x. So all four forces have come. 1, 2, 3 are represented by AP and this is fourth force. Okay. Now the further part is simply geometry to find out the values of x and phi. Okay. So I want to apply Pythagoras theorem to this right angle triangle. Okay. So how I will write down? OA square is equal to AP square plus OP square. Understood? So see here, from triangle OAP, OA square is equal to OP square plus AP square. Okay. So what is OA here? This OA, FO square. Okay. So FO square is equal to this square, that means kx minus m omega x bracket square plus c omega x bracket square. Understood? So FO square is equal to c omega x bracket square plus kx minus m omega square x bracket square. Now x you can take common, okay, and take out of this bracket. So what I will write down? FO square is equal to x square is equal to, what is remaining here? Only c omega. What is remaining here? Only k. And what is remaining here? M omega square, because x you have taken common. So FO square is equal to x square into bracket c omega square plus k minus m omega square bracket square. Therefore, x is equal to, take under root. X square you take on this side. So x square is equal to FO, x is equal to FO upon square root of this one. Okay, everything I have taken the square root because x square is equal to FO square upon this term. Therefore, x is equal to FO upon square root of, because this is the complete one term. You cannot take the square root of this one by removing the 2. No, it is a complete one term. So it is a complete square root of k minus m omega square bracket square. See here, plus c omega bracket square. This term I have written first and this term I have written second. You have to by heart like this only. Okay. So this was the value of x. I got it. Okay. Then what is the angle phi? Define tan phi in this diagram. How will you define tan phi? Tan phi is equal to c omega x upon kx minus m omega square x. Understood? So this I have written here. Tan phi is equal to OP upon AP. That is c omega x upon kx minus m omega square x. So from numerator and denominator, x will be cancelling out. So what is remaining? C omega upon k minus m omega square. So what is the angle phi? Phi is equal to tan inverse c omega upon k minus m omega square. Okay. So I got the values of x and phi. Okay. But I want to write down the value of x and phi in non-dimensional form. Non-dimensional. So what I will do, I will divide by k to numerator also and to denominator also. Okay. See, this is the value of x we got, capital X. So what I will do, divide numerator by k and divide denominator also by k. So what will happen here? This numerator will be FO upon K. Denominator will be, when you take this K inside the square root, it will become square. So K upon K bracket square. It is a square, no? So when you take this K inside the square again, it will become K. Okay, so K upon K, 1 minus M omega square upon K. Okay, and here also C omega upon K bracket square. Okay, so by dividing K to numerator, I get FO upon K, and by dividing K to the denominator, I get K upon K will be getting cancelled. So 1 minus M omega square upon K full bracket square plus C omega upon K bracket square. Okay, now this M you can take downward. That will become K upon M. What is K upon M? Omega n square. Okay, so this term will become omega square upon omega n square. So I will write down in the bracket omega upon omega n bracket square. Okay, so 1 minus omega upon omega n bracket square full bracket square plus C omega upon K bracket square. Okay, so this is the value of X. Okay, now what is the value of phi? Tan phi. Again here you do the same thing. Divide by K to numerator and to denominator. Okay, so what was your original formula? Phi is equal to tan inverse C omega upon M omega square minus K minus M omega square. So dividing K to numerator will give you C omega upon K, and dividing the K to denominator will give you K upon K1 minus M omega square upon K. Okay, so again here you take this M upon, that is K upon M, that will give you omega n square. So it will become omega upon omega n bracket square C. Okay, so phi is given by tan inverse C omega upon K upon 1 minus omega upon omega n square. Okay, don't worry about this formula. You are going to write down this formula so many times, no, in force vibration, that you will automatically get by hearted. There is no need to separately by heart. Okay, how many people are there? Only 17. My God. Okay, so now see, actually I got the value of phi and X, but still I want to write down this value in terms of zeta. So what I will do? I will write down C omega upon K in this fashion. Okay, see, C omega upon K can be written as C upon CC. You are divided by CC, so multiply by CC. Okay, CC upon 2M. You have divided by 2M, so multiply by 2M. 2M upon K into omega as it is. See, understood? First, I will take this C. C upon CC into CC upon 2M into 2M upon K into omega. So what I did, I have divided by CC and I have multiplied by CC. Here also, I have divided by 2M, I have multiplied by 2M. So when you cancel these 2M and CC, you will get C omega K. So C omega upon K can be written as it is. Okay. So what does C upon CC gives us? Zeta. You know, it is a ratio of damping coefficient to critical damping coefficient. So zeta is equal to C upon CC. What is CC upon 2M? If you remember in the first unit, we have learned CC is a definition of CC. CC is equal to 2M omega n. CC is equal to 2M omega n. Therefore, what is CC upon 2M? Omega n. What is 2M by K? Take this M below, that is K upon M, that is omega n square. So this term will become 2 upon omega n square into this omega as it is. So this omega n square will be cancelled. Only one omega n square omega n will remain. So ultimately we will get C omega upon K is equal to 2 zeta omega upon omega n. And if you remember in the last lecture, I had told you that everything we will write down in terms of frequency ratio. Frequency ratio is defined as the ratio of frequency of external excitation to the natural frequency. In every graph on x-axis, it will be omega upon omega n, dimensionless form. Okay, so that's why we have written this. We can replace C omega upon K by 2 zeta omega upon omega n. Wherever C omega upon K is termed there, See, it is in X also. X is equal to here C omega upon K. So what I should put here? 2 zeta omega upon omega n. Okay. Then in phi also, C omega upon K is there. So we will replace this. C omega upon K is 2 zeta omega upon omega n. So what we'll get finally, X is equal to F upon K upon square root of 1 minus omega upon omega n square, bracket square, plus this is C omega upon K, which is replaced by 2 zeta omega upon omega n bracket square. Understood? And what did we get for phi? Phi is equal to tan inverse C omega upon K is replaced by 2 zeta omega upon omega n, and denominator remain as it is 1 minus omega upon omega n square. These two are very important for the solving problems of force vibration. So what is X? Steady state amplitude. What is it? Still you have not understood fully. Okay, that we will understand at the end of the lecture. That what is X? Capital X is the steady state amplitude, means the amplitude is constant throughout the period. Okay, now FO upon K, this we will write down, replace later on. Okay, so new term here we are going to learn now. FO upon K is known as a XO, and XO is known as a zero frequency deflection. It is very important concept. Okay, you know how this formula has come? We have derived steady state amplitude capital X is equal to FO upon K upon square root of the whole thing. Okay, so put FO upon K is equal to XO. Okay, so this is your value. XO is equal to FO upon K. What is XO? Zero frequency deflection. It is basically steady state amplitude. It is not called as a steady state amplitude. Remember, this is whenever there is a suffix O, it is known as a zero frequency. It is zero basically, X0 you can say. X0 is zero frequency deflection, and F0 is the magnitude of the force, external excitation, and K is the spring stiffness. Okay, in the next lecture, I am going to explain you very important 3 cases. Okay, so that how you will understand the concept of zero frequency deflection. Okay, remember this XO is different than static deflection of the spring. Okay, static deflection of the spring is given by mg upon K. There is no external force acting on the spring. So static deflection of the spring is mg upon K. Zero frequency deflection of the spring is FO upon K. Formula is same. Displacement is equal to force upon stiffness. Okay, but zero frequency deflection is external excitation force, which is only magnitude. It is not sinusoidal, only FO upon K. And here delta ST is static deflection of the spring is weight of that mass, that is mg upon K. Okay, so when we put here XO, our equation will be, because we want in dimensionless form, no? So X is equal to XO upon square root of, these are the two terms. You always remember, first term is 1 minus omega upon omega n square, and then full bracket square, plus 2 zeta omega upon omega n square. Okay, now if I take this XO on left hand side, this will become dimensionless, X upon XO. That we will study later on. In the next lecture, we are going to study it. Right now, you just remember the value of X is given by capital XO upon this. Okay, and phi. So putting the value of capital X here, you go to our original particular solution now. What was the assumption we have made? XP is equal to capital X sine omega t minus phi. So putting the value of X here, what is X? XO upon the square root of whole thing into sine omega t minus phi as it is. Okay, so this is your particular solution. XP is equal to capital XO into sine omega t minus phi upon the square root of the whole thing. And where this phi is given by tan inverse 2 zeta omega upon omega n upon 1 minus omega upon omega n bracket square. Understood? So above is the particular solution of equation 1. Okay, now we have to combine. X is equal to XC plus XP. This is the complete solution of your force vibration. Okay, what is XC? We have seen, we have assumed the underdamped vibration. So what is the solution for underdamped vibration, which we have studied in unit number 1? x is equal to a2 e raised to minus zeta omega nt into sine square root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt plus phi 2. Okay, so xc plus xp. What is xp? xo into sine omega t minus phi upon square root of 1 minus omega upon omega n square, full bracket square, plus 2 zeta omega upon omega n square. Okay, so this is the complete solution to an underdamped vibratory system subjected to sinusoidal excitation, which is harmonic periodic force, external excitation. This solution contains two arbitrary constants A2 and phi 2. See here, this is A2 and this is phi 2. These are the two constants applicable to the whole equation. So how to find out the values of these A2 and phi 2? From initial condition. So which have to be determined by applying initial conditions to the complete solution. You have to apply initial condition to the whole solution, that is xc plus xp, and then you can find out the values of a2 and phi 2. Then put the value of a2 and phi 2 here, you will get the complete solution x. Okay, now the last part of today's lecture is physical interpretation of complete solution. Okay, so the complete solution consists of two parts. First is complementary solution, second is particular integral. This is xc, this is xp. Okay, the first part of the complete solution, that is complementary function, is seen to decay with the time and vanishes ultimately. See here, this is the xc versus time graph. Okay, displacement versus time graph. This is denoted by xc. See, we have provided the damping here, no? You have studied in unit number 1. These are nothing but underdamped vibration. And if you join these all the peaks, you will get the exponential curve. So this is nothing but part A, that is complementary solution. And these vibrations, such vibrations are known as a transient response. This is the response given by the system for the damping condition, damping. Okay, because we are providing the damping, the amplitude is go on reducing in every cycle. Finally it will become 0. So say after few seconds, this xc is going to vanish, is going to be 0. Then consider second part of the solution. Okay, so what is it? Say xp. Let us read first what is xp. Okay, so first part is known as a transient vibration. Second part of the complete solution, that is particular solution, which we have studied today, is to be a sinusoidal vibration with a constant amplitude and is called as a steady state vibration. Now you understand the meaning of steady state vibration. These are the vibrations having constant amplitude. The reason is that after the transient vibrations die out, the complete solution consists of the steady state vibrations only. And the complete solution is the superposition of transient vibration and steady state vibrations and is shown in above figure. Okay, so let us study this second diagram now. This is the steady state response. So if I draw a line joining all these peaks, what I will get? I will get a horizontal line. Here also I will get a horizontal line. That means what? The amplitude of this is constant, which is nothing but the capital X here. See, I forgot to write down here capital X. Amplitude is capital X. Always remember, this is xp. This is displacement, particular displacement at any time t. So this is the graph of displacement xp versus time t. Okay, this is known as a steady state response. So it is denoted by like this, as if it is a undamped vibration ideal case. The graph is like undamped, means damping is not provided, but it is an ideal case. Okay, that is no friction, no damping, nothing. It will go on, the simple pendulum is go on vibrating only from left to right, right to left in ideal condition, theoretically, because if you consider no damping is there. Okay, so as long as the force is acting on the system, the steady state vibrations will be present in the system. Now if you add this transient vibration plus this vibration, okay, let me see how many students are there. 2 more students have left. Why? I don't know. So the addition of transient vibration plus steady state vibration will give you such type of vibration. See, up to here, till the transient vibration vanishes, becomes zero. After that, only steady state vibration will remain in the system. That's why I see up to here, you can say the graph will be very vague, you can say. No particular shape is there. Okay, but from here, where the where the transient vibration becomes zero, vanishes, only steady state vibration remain in the system completely. And your system will vibrate continuously with these vibrations continuously, as long as external force is acting on the system. Understood why this is known as the steady state response now, steady state vibration? Okay, so finally the complete solution is a superposition of transient and steady state vibration. Okay, now one more thing is there, that transient vibrations take place at damped natural frequency. Transient vibration. Okay, so omega d, you know, omega d is equal to square root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n. Whereas steady state vibrations occur at the frequency of external excitation. Look here, what I have shown. In transient response curve, if I want to find out the time period, okay, it is Td is equal to 2 pi upon omega d. Okay, that is a time period of transient response. But what is the time period for steady state response? T is equal to 2 pi upon omega, because these are the vibrations taking place with omega, and these are the vibrations taking place with omega d natural, omega d frequency. Remember, these vibrations are taking place having frequency omega d, damped natural frequency. These steady state vibrations are taking place at omega, that is frequency of external excitation. That's why here time period is defined as 2 pi upon omega for steady state response, and for transient response Td is equal to, that is time period for damping, it is 2 pi upon omega d. And how to find out omega d? Omega d is equal to square root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n. Understood? So the complete solution is like this. Understood? So what we have learned today, let me see how many students are there. Okay, so let me revise, because I know today's topic is very somewhat difficult because there are many new terms. So I will just have the recap for this completely whatever we have learned today. Okay, within 5 minutes, don't worry, I'm not stretching the lecture too much. Okay, so now did you understand the learning outcome now? Tell me. Before the lecture, I know you have not understood, but now after I finish the lecture, so you must be able to understand. So what was your learning outcome one? You will be able to explain particular integral of force vibration. Studied, no? Xp is equal to capital X into sine omega t minus phi, and you have found out the values of x and phi. That only we did, nothing else. What is your second learning outcome? You will be able to estimate the complete solution for force damp vibration. What was your complete solution? Small x is equal to small xc plus small xp. Okay, so let us revise here. Particular solution xp. Okay, it is known as a steady state harmonic oscillation. So what is the assumption we did? The particular solution is steady state harmonic oscillations having a frequency equal to that of a excitation, and the displacement vector lags the force vector by some angle, that is phi. We are calling it as an angle phi. So this is the mathematical expression. Xp is equal to capital X into sine omega t minus phi. This is the displacement vector. This is the amplitude of the displacement vector, which is remaining constant throughout the vibrations. As long as your external force is acting, this will be vibrating with your system will be vibrating with the amplitude of vibration capital X. Okay. Now you may ask the question that then what is the role of damping there, or why we provide the damping? Anyway, it is going to vanish only, no? So what is the purpose of damping? Providing damping. Okay, let me go to that diagram, then I will explain you. Okay, because I have to go to that diagram. So here x is the amplitude of vibration, phi is the angle by which displacement vector lags the force vector. Okay, omega t is the angle made by force vector, and xp is the particular solution. Okay, then what we did, we have differentiated xp, we got x dot p, x dot double p, we put these values into equation of motion of force vibration. Okay, that is mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to FO sine omega t. Okay, by putting this value, we got this D'Alembert's principle, that is summation of forces is equal to 0. There are 4 forces: external excitation force, spring force, damping force, and inertia force. Okay, so what is the magnitude of these forces? See here. Okay, this is the external excitation having magnitude FO, angle omega t. This is the spring force having magnitude kx, angle minus omega t minus phi. This is the damping force having magnitude c omega into x. It is perpendicular to spring force. Okay, and this is the inertia force having magnitude m omega square x. It is parallel to spring force but in the opposite direction. Okay, so these are the forces, and let me draw very important conclusion from this one, which I have not read here because I was not knowing the time will be permitting or not. Okay, see here. I have written this additional, where I have written additional. Okay, additionally the observations will be additional observations. The displacement vector lags the external force by angle phi. The spring force is always opposite to the direction, and okay, that where I have written. Okay, let us see here that displacement is always, velocity vector is always leading the displacement vector by 90 degree. See, this is your displacement vector and velocity vector leading by 90 degree, means like this. And this damping force is always opposite to the velocity, because you know damping force is c into x dot. Okay, so this is your velocity vector in this direction and opposite is the damping force. So damping force is exactly opposite to the velocity. Spring force is exactly opposite to the displacement. And inertia force is always opposite to the acceleration. See, acceleration is always leading the displacement by 180 degree. So this is displacement direction. So towards left, acceleration direction. So inertia force is towards right, acceleration is towards left. So inertia force is always opposite to the acceleration. Okay, so if you don't understand this, leave it. This is very fundamental of vibrations. Okay, so let us go further. What we have studied? We have found out the values of x and phi. So we have considered this triangle. This is spring force. This is the external acceleration force FO. This is the vector representing spring force minus inertia force, that is kx minus m omega square x, and this is the vector representing damping force c omega x. So considering this right angle triangle, we have derived that x is equal to FO upon square root of this thing. And then we divide by k to numerator and denominator so that we can get this value that, where is that one? That c omega upon k is equal to, here, c omega upon k is equal to 2 zeta omega upon omega n. Okay, so putting this value here, we got finally the value of capital X. Okay, that is FO upon K upon this one, and phi is 2 zeta omega upon omega n upon 1 minus omega upon omega n square. Then we define new term for FO upon K is zero frequency deflection. That is zero frequency deflection FO upon K. See this one. Okay, so I can write down this in dimensionless form. X upon XO is equal to 1 upon this one. In the next lecture, we are going to study this. Okay, so XO is called as a zero frequency deflection, and here delta ST is the static deflection. Okay, which we don't want it here. Just it. I'm comparing that static deflection of the spring is completely different than the zero frequency deflection. Okay, it is completely different. Zero frequency deflection is FO upon K, and static deflection is mg upon K. Okay, so this is the final solution. Xp is equal to x into sine omega t minus phi. Put the value of x and phi here. We get final solution, and then we add the complete solution is xc plus xp. Okay, so xc is this one and xp is this one. Okay, so this is the complete solution, and this is the physical interpretation, graphical interpretation. This is xc versus xt. That is the damping. Because of the damping, vibrations are dying out. that is always known as a transient response. Okay, then this is the steady state response, which is equal in magnitude, and finally this is the addition up to certain limit, so up to certain second. That's why any motor or any this one, it will take time to become the steady state, to come to the steady state. Even in heat transfer, etc., you have conducted the experiment and you have seen that it takes some time to, so that system should come to the stable position. Okay, so from here the stability starts. Okay, now the question is, big question is, what is the purpose of providing damping if it is anyway going to die out only? What is the purpose of providing damping? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me? Write down, or you can unmute your mic and tell me. Why damping? What is the purpose of providing damping then? If damping, because of damping, the vibrations is means those are going to vanish only, no? Finally, only steady state amplitudes are remaining. Then why we provide the damping? Can anybody?
Ma'am, some vibrations may take a lot of time to vanish, so we provide damping to damp
No,
them when we want.
no, not at all. Wrong. Just think, just think. I will give you the hint. It is related with the steady state amplitude. Damping is related with the steady state amplitude. Capital X. Second diagram. XP. Please think and I want answer. What is the purpose of providing damping then? As the vibrations are going to be there, remain only, no? As long as external force is acting. You take example of turbine, take example of two-wheeler, four-wheeler, lathe machine. Everywhere damping is there. It will never be zero. Why we provide the damping then? Yes, why we provide the damping? Okay, I will answer. Go to this diagram. Okay, capital X. So this is the steady state amplitude. Okay, if I would not have provided the damping, the amplitude, the magnitude of the amplitude would have been greater than whatever is shown. Okay, if I provide the damping, this amplitude will reduce. So instead of this much height, I can get a smaller height if I provide the damping. More damping, less height. Less damping, more height. Did you get it? What is the purpose of providing damping? It will reduce this amplitude, capital X, that we want minimum. We cannot make the vibration zero, but we can reduce the vibrations with the help of a damping. Understood? Understood? Okay. Let me stop the recording.